How can anyone kill such a powerful being? What makes Kratos immortal? If one does manage to kill the god of war, how do we ensure he stays dead? Let us first establish one thing. Killing Kratos isn't the problem. It's having him stay dead. He is killed canonically twice by Zeus, once at the start of God of War 2 and again at the beginning of God of War 3. And each time he climbs his way out of the underworld. Kratos even manages to escape Tartarus, the god's endless, living, breathing, recycling pit of evil. So, how do we kill Kratos? What makes him immortal? Let's find out. But before we get to any of that, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more content just like this. So, we all know Kratos is immortal, but he's not just ordinarily immortal, but unconditionally immortal. What does that mean? It means Kratos will live forever, and he cannot be killed indefinitely, whereas the other gods like Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, and even Odin, Thor, and Balder are conditionally immortal, or should I say were conditionally immortal, meaning that they would live forever until killed. What makes Kratos a god? What makes anyone a god? You see, back in ancient Greece, to be a god, you had to fit within certain criteria. You had to be either a descendant of a god or accepted by the gods as one of them. And you also had to be worshipped. Being a god makes you immortal. So then, how were the Titans and Primordials immortal, might you ask? When they ruled the earth, there were no humans to worship them. The Primordials relied on nectar to maintain their immortality, and that is why in the God of War Ascension cutscenes, you see the Primordials bleed gold. Nectar was the divine drink of the Olympian gods. It had the magical property to confer immortality. Initially, the Titans and gods too relied on nectar for their immortality, but after the birth of humans and after the humans had begun worshipping them, the gods and Titans moved away from the consumption of nectar and allowed their immortality to rely on the prayers of their worshippers. That is why in the God of War games, the gods bleed red. You cannot deny that the prayers of the gods' worshippers did not give them immortality, it gave them more than that. It is why the gods loved to receive sacrifices and have temples built in their names. It gave them strength. It is also why the gods were insulted and grew jealous when other temples were built for other gods.
They've built this temple to offer prayers to Athena! This entire village stands as an affront to Lord Ares! Burn this village! Burn it to the ground!
But let me clarify one thing. The worshippers gave the gods their godhood, but not their godly powers. What is the difference? Your godhood is acquired by your ancestry or by permission from the other gods, and it is extended by either your worshippers or nectar to make you immortal. Godhood is what gives a god their immortality. One's godly powers are either inherited, just like how Atreus inherited his godly powers, or bestowed, just how Kratos received godly powers from the gods in God of War 1. Godly powers are what give the gods their strength. Hera, for example, had a very established godhood, but since she lacked godly powers, she died easily to Kratos. That is why in ancient Greece, the death of the god of nature Pan occurred. Pan lost his followers, had no one to worship him, and he died. It is why Kratos died in God of War 2. Not only did he have his godly powers stripped from him, but he had his godhood taken away from him too, resulting in the loss of his conditional immortality. Kratos lost his godly powers to the Blade of Olympus, and later, when Kratos was crushed by the hand of the Colossus of Rhodes, you can clearly see that Kratos' worshippers lost faith in him.
How can this be? Why does our god struggle?
And that lack of faith resulted in the loss of Kratos' godhood. This made Kratos very vulnerable, and it is why Zeus bested him. At this point in Kratos' life, Kratos should have stayed dead. If somehow Kratos did have his godhood with him during his fight with Zeus at the start of God of War 2, even then, even if he still had his conditional immortality, because at that point Kratos' immortality was not yet unconditional, Kratos would have still died. It was only because of Gaia was Kratos able to be resurrected to reobtain his godhood. At the end of God of War 2, Kratos goes back in time and stops Zeus from killing him and the rest of his Spartan army, his worshippers. And the Spartans, seeing Kratos use such godly powers, must have reignited their faith in him, and Kratos officially regains his godhood and conditional immortality. So then, how is Kratos still a god in God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018? Well, there are still those who worship him. I mean, think about it. There are vases with his face on them. We must not forget that Kratos was the one who released the power of hope to mankind. Kratos was the one to free the Greeks from the restraints of the evil gods. Kratos gave the Greeks freedom, and they must have been thankful for that. It is likely that the humans in God of War 3 do not think it is Kratos' fault that the world is being destroyed, but the gods' fault. It's why throughout the game, you can hear some of the Greeks yell that the gods have abandoned them. It is likely that the Greeks believe that Kratos was their savior, and so they worship him. What about Atreus then? How is it that he's a god? He doesn't have any worshippers. Well, he is a god, but he still has not received his immortality yet. He has already inherited his godly powers, but still has not received his immortality. Remember, immortality is an extension of godhood. It is why most gods age normally until their body matures. It is because at that point, when their body matures, they would have already have made a name for themselves and have worshippers to keep them young. So what makes Kratos unconditionally immortal then? Simple. It is his curse to walk the earth forever. We all know that Kratos was cursed to walk the earth for eternity. We're not sure who cursed Kratos, but it is the curse that makes him unconditionally immortal. Meaning that if Kratos dies, no matter what, no matter the circumstances, he will come back to life to walk the earth forever. Initially, I thought it was the curse put on Kratos to have the ashes of his wife and daughter fastened to his skin forever for all to see for eternity and remember him as the ghost of Sparta, and the terrible deed he has committed is what made him immortal. I thought, oh well, that's why Kratos cannot die, because if he dies, then no one would be able to see the ashes on his skin and remember him as the ghost of Sparta. If he dies, then he will explode, just like all the other Greek gods did, and his ashes would be removed. And that is why he's unconditionally immortal, to preserve the ashes on his skin, and to be made an example of for all of eternity. But that cannot be the case anymore. Why? Because as I discussed in the video I uploaded yesterday, go check it out, Kratos' ashes are fading. Corey Barlock confirmed this.
Is the ash that covers Kratos fading over time?
A little bit. This means that the curse put on Kratos to have the ashes of his family fastened to his skin is lifting. If you want to know how or why, again, go check out yesterday's video. But this means that the reason for Kratos' unconditional immortality has to be because of his curse to walk the earth forever. So how do we kill Kratos? Maybe lift the curse placed on him to walk the earth forever? How? Again, go check out yesterday's video to find out. But even if you do manage to lift the curse, you'll have to be able to be strong enough to kill Kratos, and he would still have his conditional immortality.